All right, guys. Part two of our interview / case study with my student Evie. Let's jump into it. I'll just continue to play some of the other parts, and then we'll do some just brief summary at the end. So let's jump into part two.
Awesome. I love that. That's so cool. And you know, we all have to start somewhere. And so that's kind of where I was too. You know, I was working a full-time job. It was very odd hours. I worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then I'd sleep obviously during the day. And so I didn't really have a ton of time, but you fit it in where you can, like you said, in the odd hours. And that's where you start. And as long as you can, you know, be a little consistent, you know, maybe an hour here, 2 hours there, but just staying consistent throughout the week. Those actions then compound, and then you're able to break through and get that first deal. That first deal is always the hardest. But once you've done that first deal, now you know, okay, here is the process, here is the system for this particular county or this particular state. And then you just repeat the process. So yeah, I love that. And, you know, what do you do what's your full-time job?
I work for the state.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so I work for the state. I answer phone calls all day and take questions from members and things like that. So it's, although with working from home with the whole COVID thing, if my job has kind of shifted because of where I do live out in the county, I don't have all that great of an internet. So my job's a little shifted for right now, but you know, I work with some great people, but I don't want to sit in a cubicle and for the rest of my life. You know, if I can get to where I can, you know, be with my kids or whatever, you know, we've got a little farm, and, you know, to be able to kind of do our own thing in our own time would be great. My husband is military and he can retire in like a year and a half. And so to be able to not have to be stuck, you know, or be able to travel or do whatever, it would be great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What branch is he?
He's Army. Cool. So he's actually Army National Guard now, but
yep.
He was active, and so, but he's almost got his 20 in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 7. Well, but the contract was for 8, but I did about 7 active in the Army National Guard, and then took the last year in the inactive Ready Reserve. So
yeah.
But much respect to those. Like, I think I think everyone should have a little bit of military service. This is just my opinion, because you don't know what not only the military member, but also the family, like the spouse. You don't understand the sacrifice until you see it and you live it. And like for me, like I was just National Guard, which is still, it's not the whole.
It's still a lot.
It's not a weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. It's not.
No, it never is. It never is.
But it's like, you know, I had, just from that experience, I have so much respect for those that choose to go active, because that is a huge, huge commitment and a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
Congratulations to your husband for going to full deployment. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Couple key points, you know, that you mentioned, because it's these little things that people need to understand. This is what gets you success. The first thing is, one, you don't have to start out with a bunch. You know, you don't need 30, 40, 50 leads. I mean, how many did you have to start out? Maybe 10? Less than that? 20?
Yeah, I would say I don't even think that many. You know, and I probably have maybe 30 or so that I have kind of on a back burner, but I only focused on, you know, maybe 4 or 5 at a time. You know, right now I'm working on 3 big ones, and, you know, 2 that I kind of have that I've tried to track down a few times, but haven't had success yet.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, just a few at a time. So just trying to kind of feed that pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first thing is just having just a little bit, starting with a little bit, and then building onto it. So that is key. The other thing was the going, you know, the 3 levels deep is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people make that mistake where it's like, you know, I've tried to reach out to the homeowner. And so my question always is to them, well, how many of their relatives have you called? How many of their neighbors have you called?
Neighbors, yeah.
And most people aren't willing to go that extra mile to find the individual. I've had so many students now where it's like they didn't get in touch with the homeowner directly. They got in touch with them through a relative, like in your case, it was a daughter.
Yeah, one of the big ones I'm working on right now, I'm talking to the lady's brother, you know, he, you know, sort of same situation. He won't give me her information, but we keep talking. You know, I've been in contact with him 3 or 4 times, and he's like, yeah, I passed on your information, and I still haven't heard from her, but you know, we're going to keep trying. So
yeah. And that's the third thing I want to, is the follow-up. The follow-up is key. There's a saying out there that, you know, the fortune's in the follow-up. I absolutely believe that.
I agree.
And that's the other thing, people, they quit too early. You know, it's just, if you call them once or twice and then you quit, you're probably not going to do real well with overages.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is with the follow-up is it's not a ton of time. You know, it's like, okay, you give them a call, takes 2 minutes in the day, wait a couple weeks, give them another call, and you are not overbearing, but I love what one of my other students said. She was like, you're pleasantly persistent.
Definitely. You know, if I had, you know, because like I said, my first deal, she was adamant that she was never going to let me help her, and that she wanted nothing to do with me, but she did agree to let me call her back, you know. And she admitted to me, she's like, I even blocked your number after that first phone call. And she's like, and then a few weeks later, I changed my mind and I unblocked your number, which was when I managed to, you know, call her back. But if I hadn't called her back, I never would have, you know, if I hadn't followed up with her, I never would have got that yes.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's crazy. She blocked your number and then
she did. She told me, she's like, I blocked your number. I didn't want to talk to you. And she's like, the more I thought about it though, and when I realized my attorney wasn't going to help me, and I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a try. So.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's so true, because especially if it's, I mean, depending on when the foreclosure or the tax sale happens, it's never the result of something good in their life, right? Like in this case, her husband passed away, right? I've had many situations where that was the case. And so it's not surprising that people are hesitant, right? Because they are vulnerable. They just went through a very hard experience in life. And so their guard is up. They are trying to protect themselves. They're trying to just get through life. But then if you can give them that time like you did, things change. Life changes. And life changes quickly. You know, it changed very quickly for this lady just a month after your initial contact, right? She was now open.
Yeah, just a little bit more than a month and a half. Yeah. 5 weeks. Yeah.
So that's also cool. Is I love that you weren't deterred by her. I don't know if she was aggressive, but she was definitely a little standoffish, it sounds like. I love that you weren't deterred by that. That you're like, you know what? You were understanding of her situation, and you followed up, and here you are. I was richer. So
yeah. You know, the thought of it being able to change, you know, my family's situation, and you know, my husband and I both have jobs, and you know, we do okay. You know, we're it's not like we are living on the street or anything. So, you know, we are blessed for what we have. But the thought of being able to do more, you know, that's something my dad, he was never content to just be, and he was never content to just kind of deal with what he was given. He would always try to do more and try to do better for, you know, my family and for my mom. And, you know, he always wanted to provide a better life, whatever that may mean to you, you know, and, you know, so the thought of being able to provide, you know, that freedom of what a job that allows you to make your own schedule and all that is definitely something that's wonderful. I think it kind of scares my husband because he likes the structure, being in the military, and that guaranteed pay, and I get that. I do. It's scary, but the thought of 5 or 6 deals like I just did will replace my pay, for the whole year.
Yeah.
So why not pursue that and then be able to, he and I both love to travel, and we both love to, be outdoors and do that kind of stuff. And, to be able to have more of that and be able to give our kids more of that is, definitely something that it's worth it. But you got to keep, you've got to keep at it. Because like you said, if you give up too soon, it's never going to work. So.
That's an amazing point. I love that you brought that up, for sure. And it's so true. It's so true. Even just, a deal here and there, that can be very life-changing. I mean, I'm so glad that you mentioned, your dad and how he was like that. It sounds like he was an awesome example. One of my mentors, his name's Ed Milet, he says, be blissfully dissatisfied, meaning, be happy, find bliss today, like enjoy what you have today, but always be reaching for that next level, always be working for something more.
Be better. Yeah,
be better, progress. And so I love that you brought that up. There's a lot of tactical things, there's a lot of actions you need to take to be successful in overages, but there's also something to be said about your mindset.
Definitely.
That's almost probably more important. If you don't have the right mindset, it's very hard to see success. And when I was first starting, I had heard that, oh, it's all about mindset. And I was like, no, it's not. Not knowing what to do. What do you mean mindset? And then now looking back, it's okay, yeah, they're right. Yes, you do the work, but you also need to have that mindset of not giving up, being persistent, doing the work, working hard, not being afraid to be uncomfortable or to feel dumb, to learn new things. All of these little things, it's key to your success, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's, like I said, my dad never gave up, and he did all sorts of multi-level marketing, and he, tried to sell stuff. I mean, he tried it all. He did it all, and he encouraged, my sister and I to do the same thing. And, that's why, I've done it all too. Not all, but, I've done a couple different MLMs, and I've done a bunch of stuff, and, it is all very much mindset. And if it's not, it's taken me a long time to get there. And, it's that, always improving yourself and always working on yourself first, and then, doing the work as well. You're right. Because that mindset can make you give up really easily if you don't have it. And, I get it, getting a whole bunch of no's is really hard. And so it's moving past that and keep pushing on, because then you get those yeses, and it makes all the difference.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be able to deal with rejection, for sure.
All right, cool. So that's going to wrap up part 2 of this series. There is going to be a part 3. So I think everything is pretty clear in that portion. A lot of good, again, key takeaways. You don't have to start with a ton of leads when you get started. You just start with a few, just like Evie did. Again, follow up is crucial. Timing plays a lot in this. There's something to be said about timing in this business, guys. Sometimes you'll reach someone and they're having a bad day. Other times you will reach someone who is more than happy to work with you. Timing definitely plays a role in this business. You definitely have to have thick skin. You have to be able to take rejection and move forward, move past it, because you're going to get rejected. People are going to say no. People are going to hang up the phone on you. It's going to happen. You have to be able to move past that and deal with it. And then mindset. Mindset is huge, guys. I don't really have anything much else to add on the mindset. except for this one key point. And it's this one. This is all I have to say about the mindset. In order for you to have more in life, you must become more. So let me say that again. In order for you to have more in life, you must become more. What I mean by that is you must be able to acquire new skills, additional skills to what you already have, acquire new and additional knowledge to what you already have, new relationships, new mindsets, new ways of thinking. I am not the same person I am today than I was a year ago or 2 years ago. You must be constantly evolving and becoming a new person, constantly growing, progressing, learning, trying new things, experimenting. You must become a greater version of yourself in order for you to have more than what you currently have in life. And mindset is the key component to that. So that wraps up part 2. Let's go ahead and jump into part 3.